Superintendent William Cope,
Here.
Mr. Chris Johnson, Dr. Anita Herron, Dr. Michael McDonald,
Here.
Mrs. Claire Maxwell,
Here.
Judge Steve Daniel,
Here.
Mayor Joe Carr.
Here. Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome.
Vice Chair, there she is. Let the record show that Dr. Herron is here.
Sorry.
You're good.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Mr. Vice Chair, have you had opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting?
I have give Dr. Herron a chance to catch her breath here.
That'll be
We're
fine.
fine. Go ahead.
That'll be fine.
Yeah, I have reviewed the minutes and found them to be in order and moved that they be accepted.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of accepting minutes say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are accepted. We have anybody for public comments? I don't believe we do.
No, sir.
And Lynn, tell us about open positions.
We currently, the only open position that we have is a full-time sergeant, which could either be male or female, and it just depends on who applies internally. We're hoping to promote from within. And we still have the one person on intermittent FMLA.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Duke about open positions? Seeing none, there's no objection. We will accept. Thank you, Lynn. Data report, please, Lynn, for item 5.
So we currently, as of this morning, had 19 young people in the facility. 13 of those were Rutherford County, and we had 1 each from Gibson, Houston, Weekly, and 3 from Montgomery. I'll happily answer any other questions that I can.
What is our capacity for males?
The facility is set up where we can be as flexible as possible. We generally have 2 dorms that we access for young men, which would be a total of 16. The issue that we sometimes have is that we have to maintain a certain staff to child ratio, and any time that that pod goes over 8, so once it reaches 9, we have to have 2 staff members on that pod, so that there are times when we are unable to accept young people based on our staffing ratios, and we always want to keep a bed or 2 open in case Rutherford County needs them. So there's not a hard and fast answer to how many are male beds. Sometimes all of them are male beds, but we generally have one pod that's set up for young ladies. That's also 16 beds in that area, but really it's more on the lines of how many staff members do we have available to work those areas.
So the issue, if you wanted to increase the number in, would be an increase in staffing to do it.
Right.
Because you can't use the female staff to supervise male, right?
You can use females with young men. We try not to. You can't use young men with
Females.
With females.
Okay.
You know, we have, besides our, FMLAs, OJIs, people want to take vacations and they get sick. So although our initial staffing is set up to be adequate, when you have people that take time off for whatever reason, that does affect what you're able to do.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. It seems like we're getting an uptick. Is that my imagination, or would that be accurate?
No, I believe that's accurate.
And do we have an explanation for that? Or is it an anomaly, or is it, I hate to say it like this, but is there some seasonality to this sometimes, or?
Sometimes there is. More often than not, I find it's just a season of bad choices as opposed to fall and summer.
Okay.
But they are in school, they are in school. They have more eyes on them when school is in session, which can, and of course, they're around more other young people that they may have issues with when
They're
they're
around more people, more of their friends. maybe they haven't been around these friends before or in a while, and now they are.
So in that regard, I'm seeing a lot of murder, first-degree murder, attempted murder. The seriousness seems to be, it seems to be more violent. Not that we didn't have these cases, but it just seems to be more violent and more offenders. Is that an accurate observation?
No, that's correct.
And do we have anything to attribute that to? Not that you would have the answer, but my goodness.
It is my personal opinion that when you have young people who are used to not having consequences, when they finally do something that's severe enough that they do have those consequences, they're almost shocked. We have a lot of young people with very serious charges that can't believe that they have been detained in a facility and they cannot go home. And I just personally believe it's because they were not consistently experiencing appropriate consequences when they initially started to have issues with law enforcement.
Are you saying there was a lack of discipline leading up to this particular event that caused the mismanaged expectation on their part?
That plays into it, but my personal opinion is that you can, how many times you get to go in front of a judicial proceeding and nothing happened before you realize that it's important.
And then Tennessee does with like restorative justice, and restorative justice is not a universal approach for all kids, and it's making it so now when you're getting them at the first degree level, but they don't went through restorative justice how many times? And so now they're here, and then you still don't have another placement for them besides big boy jail to you, right? And so something has to change on that end. So it's like what she didn't want to say. But it starts at the court level. I mean, of course it starts at the home with the lack of discipline in some cases, but once it gets here, then it's like, how many times do they go in front of the judge and you say, okay, because they're just a kid. Well, kids come up to be big kids after a while. And so you still have, but that restorative justice piece is not doing it for our kids, like for juvenile detention, so.
I didn't mean to get us off track. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No, please don't apologize. I appreciate you sharing that. I did not know that. It makes me want to ask questions about
Because out of
restorative
your,
justice.
this year,
Doesn't look like it's restoring a whole lot.
No, 13 out of your 13, you have 11 of them that are violent.
Yes,
So
that was exactly what
like,
I'm referring to. So
that's crazy.
something's breaking,
Right.
or something's horribly broken before they come to you. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah.
I know. So anyway, it was more rhetorical, but thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Duke? Seeing none, without objection, we'll accept the data report. Education Services Report, please.
This is our educational information for the month of August. It's what you're used to seeing on a regular basis. I think that we potentially have, as you can see, more interaction with our special education teachers, and that's generally because we have probably more young people in right now that require his services. But beyond that, I don't know that there's anything that stands out, but I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Questions?
On that last point, it is your reflection there that some of these youth have mental health issues?
I mean, I'm sure.
Yes, there are, many of the young people do have mental health issues that we are addressing, and that are being serviced by other facility or other services that come into the facility. But special education is just young people who aren't at the average grade level, either too low or they exceed.
Yeah.
So in whatever way, they just need extra help. Some just need extra time taking the tests that everybody else is taking. So it's just, he's there to do more one-on-one for the kids that need specialized
And if they're
They
on,
came in with an IEP though.
yeah, if they're on an
Yeah.
IEP, you
Yeah.
have, federally, we have to follow their plan.
What percentage would you consider
High,
that there would be a significant learning disability? And I guess the question I want to ask before that one is, do we test prior to their arrival for a learning disability?
So the young people that are already established with their home school or their board of education from the county that they're from, they don't have to have any sort of testing. Their services just continue wherever they happen to be.
I assume at the grade level they were at when they
Yes.
when they left that environment.
We do have some ways to see if we have young people that the Board of Education might want to come in and interview and have discussions with and test to potentially get IEP services. And we've had to do that for a couple young people that that were not prior IEP service, let's call it. But in general, most everybody that we're dealing with is on the system that we currently use or that we can find out from whatever facility. Some of the kids come from other facilities. We can sort of find out where they were, and the Board of Education obviously can get into their data and access youth from all over. So we can, if we see that the young people are struggling in certain areas, or if something doesn't seem as it should, we can involve the Board of Education and get them started down that road.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr.? Seeing none, we'll accept that. Finally, we're at other business. Any other business from the committee? Yes, Dr. McDonald, you recognize.
I did have a request. I'm making the assumption that our budget for FY '24-25 did pass.
It is on June 26th.
And I was wondering if for our October meeting, we can go through that budget, especially as it relates to the end-of-life issues on the computer. I'm just curious about that.
I can report that today I reached out to OIT to go ahead and get a project manager assigned to that.
Okay.
And this is September. And I suspect that by the end of this month, we will have gotten with our department, the project manager with OIT, and the provider for those services, and have at least a schedule of when we are planning on diving into that project to get everything switched over.
Okay.
But we have not, project manager just got assigned today, so.
So, Dr. McDonald, on the budget, would you like for us to have a copy of that budget for the next meeting just to review?
Yes, just as a matter of just review and oversight.
Sure,
And
not-
make sure that if there's anything that, and I realize there are budget constraints, but there may be things that we need.
Right.
And they may just be on a wish list that's down the road, but at least from an oversight perspective, as a board, we would be aware of those things.
Sure, I can tell you though, the budget this board reviewed was the budget we approved at the county commission level. It was one and the same without any corrections or amendments. Having said that, Sandra, would you contact Carla in my office and get her to request a budget and put it up on SharePoint and hard copies for the committee at the next meeting, and we'll put that on the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. And then, Mayor, the other thing our director already addressed, which was that line item related to our computer system. I'm not a computer person, but I see end of life, I think I said this a couple months ago on, when it was brought up, I'm like, well, I know what that means to a human being. And so just as it relates to our computer system.
I can tell you what it looks like on a computer, it's a blue screen.
Yeah.
A solid blue screen.
Yes, yes, so,
There are some components that are no longer manufactured.
okay, yeah.
So everything, I don't even want to say it out loud, everything's working, everything is as it needs to be right
Okay.
now. We're just trying to prevent issues moving forward.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other business before the committee? Seeing none, without objection, we're adjourned.
Okay, can we
Thank you.
just sign Dr. McDowell's card? I forgot.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
There you go.